lot of people sitting out here on the patio at Minnesota Valley Country Club wondering, what are these idiots doing with microphones in the middle of the golf course?
And the guys are yelling from the golf course, keep it down in there.
Yeah. People on the 18th
right
green can hear us, and they're not happy about it.
Here's the 10th tee right here. Do we have to stop talking in their backswing?
I think we should.
Well, you never do that for anybody else.
We should rattle our change in our pocket really loud. That's what I do when I play golf. Hey, this is Chin Music. This is our baseball show at TalkNorth.com. You know the lineup. Former Twin Star, Curtin Twins broadcaster Royce Smalley. Star Tribune columnist, former baseball beat writer LaVelle E. Neal III. I'm Jim Souhan from TalkNorth.com and the Star Tribune. Alex Haugen is our producer. Hannah Franson is shooting pictures. I really prefer not having pictures of me circulated, but I don't really get a choice in this regard. But no, Tony Tortorisi, our friend from Valley Sports North, invited us out to Minnesota Valley Country Club. Beautiful day, beautiful golf course. We're going to tell you a little more about the golf course later. Let's start here. And by the time people hear this, the recorded version of this, they probably will finish their game with the Royals tonight. So we're not going to talk game specifics. We're going to talk big picture stuff. Is playing Royce Lewis at second base the worst idea of the season or the worst idea in baseball history?
It may be a little bit of both. Right now, it's the worst idea of the season. And I've read different things about this. One, Rocco wants flexibility just in case the Twins are in the postseason and they're in fire drill mode and they're moving guys around. Also read another thing that long term they think Brooks Lee has a stronger, a more truer arm than Royce. I prefer him at third and Royce at second. If that's the case, then why in the hell are we doing this in September in the middle of a pennant race? This should have been done during the preseason or spring training. Should have been done. He could have worked on it during the offseason. When he hit the 3-run homer on Sunday, he walked into the media room. I said, you know, the Twins are 1-0 when you play second base. And he kind of looked at me. So then afterwards, I went up and said, hey, I just want to make sure I didn't touch a nerve with the joke about second base. He said, no, you didn't. He said, it's true. And I said, I get the sense that you would have preferred to work on this during the offseason or spring training. He just shook his head vigorously, yes. And I just think that it's not putting him in the best spot. And when you start messing with a guy when he's not believing in himself defensively or worried that he's going to suck, it could drift over into his offense. So I'm just against this decision and against this move right now.
LaVelle, this is a family podcast. Watch your language, please.
What did I say?
Roy, I don't think I'm sensing you're not a big fan of this move either, but I also say playing second base ain't like it used to be. It's not that hard anymore.
It's such a great point. You can have a big, strong home run hitting guy playing second now because it really isn't as hard. Nobody slides into you. I mean, it really is just, if you're an athlete, you dive for the ball in the hole. You occasionally dive for a ball at the middle, flip the ball to second, or flip the ball to first. You know, and Royce Lewis got all the tools to do that. There's two things that I find interesting about it. One, LaVelle mentioned, and that is, you know, when Royce himself said he's asked about it, and he says, I just don't want to. I mean, we're down the stretch trying to get in the playoffs, and the playoffs, and what if I hurt the team? You know, and you know, when a guy's got that in his mind. You know, I mean, that's not a good thing. It's not a good psyche place for a player to go out there and say, "I hope I don't mess up and hurt the team." That's difficult. And I mean, it's easy to say, "Hey, just don't feel that way. You know, just go out and play." Here's what the manager would say: "Don't feel that way. You just go out there and give it your all, like you always do, and don't let the chips fall where they may." But, you know, you're a player in your gut, you know, the other players are looking around in field and saying, yeah, I like what's going on here. We got a great defense. And they look over and go, God, I hope Royce adapts to this, right? I mean, you just feel like everybody's thinking that. The second thing is that I found interesting is that they don't like his arm from third base. It's very strong. So it's not an arm strength. I think they're worried a little bit about his natural throwing motion and not being as accurate. But then I look at him taking that same characteristic over to second base, and he doesn't have the flip throw that second basemen have. I mean, one of the things I thought Jorge Polanco was going to be great at second when he moved over from short. He was a good athlete. He was great at diving. He was great at throwing from funny body angles, you know, which you have to do sometimes at second base, so even more so than or as much as shortstop. And Royce hasn't demonstrated anything like that kind of that kind of ability to throw from funny positions, right? And especially at second base, and more of a flip thing to be, to be in a hurry to get a double play, for example. So I don't know. I understand the concept. You got all these guys that are playing pretty well. Miranda's got to play. Brooks Lee's got to play.
Right.
Correa, when he comes back, obviously he's got to play. Royce Lewis has got to play. Julian's hitting the ball pretty well. You can't move anybody to first because Santana's been fantastic. So I get it. What's going to be our best combination of guys on any given day? And if Royce could go over to second base, it solves a lot of problems, a lot of issues. Down the stretch and in the playoffs, that's a big if.
What happened the last time the Twins asked Lewis to fill in at a position? He blew out his knee playing center field.
Of course, he's not going to run into a wall playing second base.
No, exactly.
So I'm not too worried about that part of it.
But he doesn't he's not even used to doing the flip throws this sideways because he's been on the other side of the infield too.
Right.
So I'm not on this. I'm not on this.
I know LaVelle that he blew out his knee playing center field and all that kind of stuff. He's not a center fielder, but I think I brought up on this show just the wild hair idea a few weeks ago.
Oh, I love Roy's wild hairs.
So I brought up two wild hair things. One was Royce Lewis as a corner outfielder. I think he's got the arm for it. It'd be easy for him. Doesn't have to think about defense a whole lot. And if they're really concerned about about the crowd in the infield, who could play somewhere else, Royce could play somewhere else. And I don't think just because he goes out there again, he'd blow out his knee. But that's wild hair number one. The other one we'll talk about maybe some other time. But this was 3 weeks ago.
That's right. Yeah, when you were on vacation, Roy had two wild hairs.
Yeah, the other one.
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt. Roy's never had a hair out of place in his life. Roy is not allowed to talk about wild hairs. It does not make sense.
Well, no, I heard this expression.
I've heard that too. Yes. I'm sorry, but go ahead. Tell me.
Griffin Jackson's a starter. He's got starter stuff now. Ooh. They're having a problem. This is before all these kids came up. This is before Xavier Matthews. This is before, or maybe just when Festa had started. Mm-hmm. When you were on vacation, LaVelle and I were talking about it. I said, and we were talking about Louis Varland. Should he come up be your starter, reliever, whatever? I said, well, if you're going to make Louis Varland reliever, then make Griffin Jackson starter. He's got 4 great pitches now, and anyway, that's a subject for next year, I'm sure.
That's interesting because Jackson's slider / sweeper apparently is one of the best in the game.
One of the best, absolutely. Yeah. It's when he throws it right, it's unhittable. And he's throwing 97, and he's got a great changeup and a little sinker now that looks like a changeup, except one's a little faster than the other. I mean, he's got great stuff.
All right, a lot more Twins and baseball topics to go here. I want to let you know we're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Services Studios. I want to thank our many sponsors that make all this possible at TalkNorth.com, Aquarius Home Services, Minnesota Masonic Charities, True Vision Institute, Your Boat Club. Thanks to all of our sponsors and everyone who listens. Best way to listen to this show or any show you like at the network, please subscribe at your favorite podcast app. It's free. It's just easy. And it also helps us out because it gives us some reliability on listenership. So we've been doing this a long time now. And it's been a blast talking to you guys. I almost feel like there are 2 different ways to look at this Twin season. One is if you think that the division title is all that matters, then you're going to be very frustrated. You're probably not going to see them win a division title where they're standing right now. And you're probably going to be an angry Twins fan. If you look at it as the idea is just to get into playoffs, just like Texas and Arizona did last year. Yeah. They both ended up the World Series, a 5 seed and a 6 seed. Then things are kind of falling into place. Pablo's pitching great. He's going to be your game 1 starter in the postseason. If they continue to hold this kind of a lead in the wild card, they're going to be able to set him up for the game 1 start. Correa's coming back. Probably not soon, but he's going to be back in time for the postseason. Buxton's going to be back in time for the postseason. And you've had some other guys step forward while those guys, while the injuries have occurred. I actually am kind of optimistic about this team as a wild card team. What do you think, Roy?
Oh, I like them as a wild card team a lot. I think they could. I think they could shock some people. I really do. The thing about the Twins it is over the course of a series of games, they can be up and down, and it can be kind of maddening for fans and all that kind of thing. And they're probably just a little bit short when you think of talent like the Yankees have, or the Orioles have, or any number of teams that have people in spots that the Twins don't quite have. But what the Twins have, and I think other teams are afraid of this, if that lineup and if a couple of pitchers get hot in the playoffs, they could beat anybody and everybody. And I think I'm happy with the team because it's been a fun team to watch. I'm happy with the season, to your point. It's been a fun team to watch. They're going to be in the playoffs. It's going to be some exciting stuff. What else do you want from a baseball season?
I saw a stat, by the way. The only team in Major League Baseball without, I haven't even double checked it, so I hope it's right. I'll check it later. The only team in Major League Baseball without a losing month is the Twins.
Wow,
which would be shocking since they've had so many injuries and so many obvious problems.
I think they've been great.
I think it's been really remarkable the last couple of years to see the turnover in terms of the farm system influencing this roster. And it bodes well for the future. So you get in these situations where they can make the postseason, where anything can happen. It's great for the development and just to challenge these young, talented players that the Twins have debuted over the last couple of years. So I find that very something that, as a fan, I would be excited about, that this team could be competitive for a decent amount of years here. They have a decent window here. This particular year, the Yankees have their flaws, but if the postseason started today, the Twins would be playing at the Yankees. And the numbers against the Yankees, exactly. The numbers against the Twins are absolutely horrific. All right. It started with the Ron Gardenhire administration, carried over into the Mulder administration, and it's continued with Rocco. Okay. If there's a chance they can catch Cleveland and avoid that, I think they should go all out to do that. At the same time, if they can't catch Cleveland and Detroit's 5 games back in the wild card, the Red Sox have cratered. It looked like the Twins are 98% locked to make the postseason in some capacity. But if it looks like they got the wild card sewn up and they're not going to catch Cleveland, I think you sit all the injured guys to the last week of the season, give them a few at-bats to get sharp, and then see what you got in the postseason.
I think the Twins should want to play the Yankees. Eventually, if the Twins break through and have a great postseason, then they almost, they kind of did last year. They win one series, had a second competitive series. You're still going to have people saying, yeah, but they didn't have to play the Yankees. Let's just end it. Play the Yankees, beat the Yankees, and be done with it.
I can't wait to read that column.
And you know what is most stunning when we look back at history about the Twins not doing well against the Yankees for a decade in the playoffs, more than a decade, is you remember the get my numbers right, the 2001 Twins, the team that started the comeback, the Jock Jones, Torrey Hunter, Corey Kosky, that group. That team played really well against the Yankees before they had any right to play well against the Yankees. When they were just kind of turning it around and becoming a competitive team, it wasn't until 2003 that group started cratering when they faced the Yankees. I don't know, right? In other words, baseball doesn't have to make sense.
Well, baseball rarely makes sense, and every year there's something that's totally nonsensical, like those wild card teams. Last year, going as far as they did. So, the other option though is to let Kansas City get ahead of you. Then you got Houston.
Yep.
So either way, they're going to play.
So this weekend's huge.
Well, the only way they're going to catch Cleveland is if they go into Cleveland later on and have a 4-game series. They're going to have to sweep them. And if they sweep Cleveland, they're probably going to win the division. If they don't sweep Cleveland, then they're going to get one of the other 2 wild cards.
Cleveland is at the Dodgers this weekend too.
Yeah. So, well, what would be ideal is if obviously the Twins sweep the Royals, put them in the rearview mirror, and then the Dodgers take care of Cleveland, and then that series when they go into Cleveland's going to be immense.
And then that's when you tape up everybody you got injured.
That's right.
And throw them out in the field.
Right. There's no such thing as I've got a sore knee.
We are sitting on the patio at Minnesota Valley Country Club. Roy, you've been here before. I've driven by before. This is the first time they usually don't let people like me in the gates, but
no, they just waved you.
Pass.
When you were driving, they just waved you by.
Yeah, that's right. This place is gorgeous, though, and this is their 100th year anniversary. In 2023, they had a sympathetic restoration of their historic Seth Rayner golf course under the direction of golf course architect Bill Bergen. But you know this place better than me.
It's been a long time since I've played it, and I'm dying to play it again. just with their new great renovation. I played it way back when. I'm not even going to tell you when it was. It's too long ago. But played it once a week for about 2 months, and it was the strike year in 1981. I guess I can say what it was. And about 8 of us twins formed a couple of foursomes and came out here. That folks here were kind enough to let us play, and we just had a ball. So it was a wonderful golf course then. Can't wait to get out and see what it's like now. Right now, we're just enjoying maybe the best bar stool in America. I mean, this is a great patio that part of this renovation. It's really cool.
We're outside the Valley Pub. We got a great looking crowd here, and I got to point this out: the legendary Belinda Jensen is here as part of the audience. Okay, somehow she looked right through me, which is hard to do, and saw Roy and ran over and gave him a hug when I talked to Belle many times through the years. So I'm crushed.
Oh man.
Thanks for being here, Belle.
I, on the other hand, was delighted.
LaVelle, we know who the star of the show is. We know the deal.
There's no doubt. It's this man right
we're
here.
We're the supporting cast, and I'm very comfortable with that. What do you make of Pablo turning it around, and how big a deal is that, Roy?
It's gigantic. I think, again, it was last week or the week before that I said, here's what's going to have to happen. Pablo's got to pitch great from now on through the playoffs. The Twins have to win every game that Pablo pitches. Twins have to win every game that Bailey Over pitches, and then they got to hit like hell for 3 games and get back to Pablo. And he has really risen to the challenge. He's pitching phenomenally well. He has gone back to the fastball. His fastball is electric right now, and his sweeper's better. I actually think his fastball is his best pitch. The fastball changeup combination is great, but he knows he needs that sweeper.
Yep.
And when he wasn't pitching well, it was because the sweeper, he just couldn't find it. He couldn't find control and command of that sweeper. And it was like it affected everything else, every other pitch. It was like it affected his psyche that, I need that. So now I got to make a perfect pitch of my fastball or a perfect pitch of my change, and everything was right in the middle of the plate. Once he found that sweeper, LaVelle, then all the other pieces just fell into place. And we know about his guts. I mean, he's got just a great inside about competing, and he's got his stuff back, and he's been great.
Yesterday was unbelievable. I tell you what, one thing that amazes me is watching a pitcher's arc during the season. When they don't have their stuff, then find it. When they have their stuff and lose it and get it back. And watching Pablo Lopez's pitches improve as the season has gone along is something to behold. He was touching 98 miles an hour with his fastball yesterday against the Rays. He was throwing his curveball, which was filthy. And the sweeper that he's controlling, he's got better command with. The Rays had no chance. He has reinforced everything we felt about him last year when he was clearly one of the top 15 starters in baseball. I think I'll argue that.
For sure.
And right now he's probably back in that group in terms of what he's done over the last couple of months. So, undoubtedly he takes the ball in game 1, regardless if it's against the Yankees or the Astros.
Maybe game 1 and game 2. Well, here's the interesting question. You've got Pablo is the obvious ace. You got Bailey Over as the obvious number 2 right now with Joe Ryan hurt. Who would you pick to start the 3rd game right now?
Griffin Jacks.
I would lean toward the hot hand, which is David Festa, who's had some solid outings in his last few starts. He looks a little more confident out there, and Rocco agreed when I asked him about this. Sometimes you need 2 or 3 starts from a kid up from the minors before they get comfortable, and their stuff actually gets better because now they're more comfortable, they're settled, and you see their talent. And you're seeing that from Festa right now. He's changing speeds more effectively. He's got the good breaking ball, and the fastball has been lively. So right now, I would lean to him. But Zebby Matthews could go out there tonight or Friday against the Royals and twirl a gem, and I feel the same way about Zebby, who I personally think profiles to be closer to the front of a rotation than Festa is, because Zebby throws 4 different pitches. He throws a boatload of strikes, and he could touch 97 on the gun with his fastball.
I really like Zebby Matthews' stuff. I like it a lot because it's always in the strike zone. I mean, that's the number one thing. You got 4 pitches you throw in the strike zone, and they're all big league caliber. And then you really have a chance. It's Festa right now for me, number 3, to answer your question. His fastball, to LaVelle's point, is big league caliber. It's a little sneaky. He's 95. He can touch 96 or 97 once in a while, but it plays sneakier for whatever reason. His sliders, and what has changed him as he's gone along, as LaVelle said, is you try to get comfortable with your stuff against big league hitters. And what he sees now is if I throw my fastball a lot for strikes and I throw that slider on the glove side corner and just to break just off, and I throw that changeup, which is also really good, to the arm side corner, breaking that way, to both pitches, to both right-hand hitters and left-hand hitters, are really good after they've seen that fastball. They can get beat on the fastball. That gets it in their mind, and then the other stuff they chase because he's throwing it in better and better locations and in better counts. And I think he's got a chance to beat any lineup. In my opinion, not going to do it every time, but to our point about the playoffs, I mean, the way he pitched against the Phillies was phenomenal. There was a good bunch of hitters there, and he just shut them down. And he's got a chance to do that against any lineup.
I love the way his changeup plays off his fastball.
Yeah, it's great.
Also, I was told that, Zebby Matthews has been generally very good. He had the one horrific outing. Someone I know in the Twins organization said that he was tipping his pitches. They knew it was coming the whole time. They were just crushing it. I don't think that was an indication of him having nerves or even necessarily having a bad outing. He was tipping his pitches. And they said that sometimes young pitchers do that. They just, they're thinking about so many other things they don't remember to disguise their pitches.
Maybe people don't realize how devastating that is. I mean, if you send me out there today against somebody I know what's coming, I might have a chance still. There might be a chance if I knew every pitch.
By the way, we have a microphone set up right over there. Looks like if you were 3 feet or shorter, it might be perfect for you. No, just if you would like to ask a question, walk up to the mic. We'll interrupt the show. We like being interactive as much as we can. Thanks to the Talk North staff that's out here handling all of this stuff. And
yeah, don't wait till necessarily if you got a question. Don't wait till necessarily the end.
No,
just
pop
show,
up. We'll just alter the conversation.
Yeah, it might throw us in a whole new direction, which
would be a good thing.
Might be good.
Yeah, yes,
exactly.
Is there any hope that Topa is actually going to pitch this year?
Oh man,
there's been no Justin Topa updates. Like there's been no Carlos Correa updates as well. I don't even know what he looks like anymore. I think I walked past him during spring training.
What? I talked to him the other day. He's cheerful. He's a very cheerful guy, and he's semi-optimistic, but, being optimistic about pitching this year in September doesn't really do much for me.
He's been optimistic for 4 months.
Yeah.
Do we want him to get healthy? I mean, he's lost all his spring training momentum. How much can he get ready?
I don't know.
In order to contribute, I don't know. You're at that point now where you got to kind of just go with what you got, and I don't know if they can afford to watch Justin Topa break loose all the scar tissue and cobwebs from being inactive while they're trying to qualify for the playoffs, possibly catch Cleveland for the division title. Yeah,
I just thought I'd throw out there. By the way, we've all known Byron Buxton a long time. I started covering him when he was in A-ball. I always liked him, and he's had a brutal time with his injuries and having to deal with all that, but I've always found him to be a very likable guy. You can't go on an injury rehab assignment where the only point of you being in the game is to get work in and see pitches and get thrown out during an at-bat. You can't do that, Byron.
That was unbelievable. And he still had a sore hip coming out of that, so he's been delayed even more. It's just a double whammy for him. I know he doesn't like, because he talked about this before, he doesn't like the automatic strike zone and all that stuff like that. So he's already skeptical about that stuff. And I don't know if that was the case on Wednesday when he got tossed. But this is an important time of the year. They need him to get ready as soon as possible. And now everything's delayed. He went about that the wrong way. Funny part about that, my buddy sends me a tweet. He says, Toby Gardenhire he's a season ticket holder for the Saints. He goes, Toby Gardenhire gave my son the lineup card from tonight's game. And I look at the card and I reply, congratulations, you got the Byron Buxton ejection game scorecard.
It'll end up some kind of a Hall of Fame. Roy, did you ever get thrown out arguing balls and strikes?
Not balls and strikes. Well, there's a story.
Okay, let's hear it.
I only was thrown out one game. It was in AAA. in my second year, right before I got called up to the big leagues, early in my second year. And I'm up at the plate. In the minor leagues, they have 2 umpires. At least they did back in the dinosaur days when I played. They've got 2 umpires. And the home plate umpire called me out on a pitch that I knew was a ball. And so I had a kind of an argument with him, but I quit early and just, went back out on the field. And I'm playing shortstop. They get a runner on first base. He tries to steal. Catcher throws me the ball. I put the tag on him. He's out. The umpire comes in and says safe. So now, because of what just happened a minute ago at the plate, now I'm hot, right? And so I'm arguing with this guy, and he got kind of a little bit belligerent back to me now, which made me madder. And finally, we were arguing back and forth pretty heatedly. And finally, I said, "Oh, you know what? You are horse bleep, and your partner is horse bleep." And well, that's automatic, right?
Yeah.
Boom, you're gone. So now I'm really arguing with him. And old Del Wilbur's a manager, one of my favorite people in the world to this day. And he comes kind of big. Del is kind of waddling out. And he goes to the umpire and says, "Did you just throw my man out of the game?" And the guy said, "Yes, I did." And Del said, "Why?" And the umpire said, "Because he called me horse bleep and my partner horse bleep." And Del said, "Well, but he's right." Del and I drank bourbon in the clubhouse for the last 4 innings of the game.
Was there an umpire during your major league career that you disliked?
That I disliked?
Yeah.
Can I give you a list of umpires I liked?
Is that a short
Same
list?
time?
It's a way shorter than that.
Well, and this leads to a much larger topic. I was glad that they went to replays to quicken the game. And I didn't want to see day after day managers going out and arguing for 20 minutes. But I have to admit now that I miss the good arguments. I grew up watching Earl Weaver, kick dirt all over home plate and, turn his hat around so he could spit in the guy's face. And Gardy was a blast. I'm kind of missing the showmanship.
Yeah.
Gardy was great. Earl Weaver was great. Billy Martin was great. Yeah. I got a lot of up close and personal looks at Gene Mauch, and he was phenomenal. Some great stories there. But
Did you see the other day, because it brought me, had flashbacks to when Gardy was managing, Hunter Wendelstedt got into it with Grady Sizemore because the White Sox are god-awful. And Hunter's strike zone was going from here to here and from here to here. And Grady Sizemore came out and started screaming, and Hunter tossed him. And they're going back and forth. I was like, man, I miss those days when Gardy and Hunter used to go at it each other, because that was it was weird. I think he liked his dad, but I don't think he liked Hunter very much.
Speaking of his dad, we were in spring training way back when in Orlando at old Tinker Field, and Mauch's managing. It's a spring training game. And Harry Wendelstedt, Hunter's dad, is umpire in first base. Now, Harry was pretty big, right? I mean, he was pretty round. And Mauch, it was a calm day. It was just spring training. Mauch there wasn't anything going on. But he made a call at second base that Bobby Randall, our second baseman, disputed. He kind of ran over at Harry to argue with him, and Harry started screaming at him, like he had already called him a bad name or something. Just started screaming at him, and so Mauch's in the dugout is going, "Okay, Harry, okay, calm down." Well, but Harry, calm down. You missed the call. Just calm. Now he's arguing with Gene, and Gene's just sitting there kind of laughing, and he said, finally, little jibes going back and forth. And Harry says, "If you got something to say to me, you come out here and say it." Immediately, Gene says, "There ain't any room for anybody else out there."
Oh man.
All right, well, our next guest, are you comfortable with the microphone? Can you handle all this?
I'm not sure.
She's a fair weather fan.
Actually, I'm not.
I wish my kids had heard that dad joke.
Oh my goodness.
Belinda Jensen is here, and we're graced by her presence. Fire away.
You know what? Since Eric Perkins left Care 11, I am the biggest Twins fan that is in the station that does work for NBC. I am the biggest Twins
Bell
fan.
at play
And
doesn't
we
sound like
appreciate it.
Perk at play, though.
That's true. That's true. So again, I didn't diss you. You were busy. You had all those other people surrounding you.
We actually like it when people diss LaVelle because sometimes LaVelle's ego inflates. And you have to find the safety valve and just
Do I look like I have
pump a
an
little
ego?
the air out of it.
And I do know some people that actually belong to this club, so I think we can get you on the course. I'm pretty sure we can get you on the course, Roy.
I accept.
Okay, so actually, I do have a question. I have two questions. I have a question from my friend who now lives back home but is from the East Coast. The question she had, Sherry, was, why can't we beat the Yankees? And then my question is why won't the Twins actually consider, because of course we need pitchers, and I'm a mother of a pitcher, so I have a big heart for pitchers. I understand how difficult it is. But why won't we consider maybe Trevor Bauer? Why won't we consider him? Will we consider him?
Let's start with the easy one first.
Why we can't beat those
Let's
Yankees?
start with the Yankees.
I thought the easy one was Trevor Bauer.
Okay, well, actually, they're both kind of hard. Okay.
Sherry, I have no answer for you.
I'll start. I'll get the Trevor Bauer one out of the way. Then we'll talk about the Yankees. People in baseball who have any women in their lives will not have Trevor Bauer.
I thought he was
their
cleared,
team.
though. I'm really honest. I thought he was cleared. He's not cleared.
He might not have ended up in jail. That doesn't mean he didn't do it.
Okay. I didn't know that. My husband said he was cleared.
The people I know in baseball don't want him in the stadium, much less on their mound.
Oh, okay. Never mind then. Okay, let's move on to the Yankees.
Yeah.
I mean, plus, he's got the reputation of being a lot to deal with in the clubhouse too.
Because he's a Bruin. There's the number. That's the number one reason they should not consider him, because he went to UCLA.
If Derek Falvey, who
fine.
was with Cleveland when Trevor Bauer was there, does not want to give Trevor Bauer a shot, that speaks volumes.
It tells you a lot.
And that's why he's not in any roster.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And think about it. Every Major League Baseball team would kill to have a pitcher of his talent on their team, and he can't get a tryout.
Okay. All right.
By
Now,
the
what
way,
about those damn Yankees?
when Royce talks about Bruins, let's give full context here. Roy played for USC, so he's anti-UCLA. It also means he played against Dave Winfield. And so let's take a quick break here. Tell us about playing against Dave Winfield in baseball.
Do you mind if we do a little digression here,
yeah.
Belinda?
I'm glad that it's not raining.
We're not a very linear show.
I can tell.
We stumble around.
Well, as quickly as I can, I transferred. I went to junior college my freshman year because USC wanted me to come to school, and but they wanted me to walk on, and we couldn't afford my family couldn't afford the private school tuition, so I went to a junior college. Had a big year in junior college. USC came back and said, "Okay, we found some scholarship money," and so I transferred into school as a sophomore, just in time for my sophomore baseball season. So the Trojans, the USC baseball team, had won 2 national championships in a row when I transferred in. No team before that had ever won 2, and as it turns out, no team since then, but us, has won more than 2. So we're going for our 3rd straight national championship, a record in my sophomore year, which we won. Then our 4th year, we had even a better team. Rich Dower played 3rd, and Freddie Lynn played center. I played short, and we had a great team. And we were kind of blowing through the tournament and undefeated, and we came to play the University of Minnesota. And Dave Winfield is on that team, and he was going to be the starting pitcher against us. Now, we all had played against Dave in the summer leagues here and there. We all knew him very well in terms of an opponent. And I'll never forget this. Our coach was going over the opposing batting order, the Gopher batting order, and he gets to the 4th hitter. Who knows the first hitter? Here's how we're going to pitch him, 2nd hitter, 3rd hitter. Get to the 4th hitter, and okay, this is Dave Winfield. He's pitching, he's hitting 4th. Does anybody know him? Well, we had this goofy left-hander pitcher for us named Cliff Holland. He was going to be the starting pitcher. And he said, "Yeah, I know him. We played together in summer league up in Fairbanks, and I don't think I know he doesn't like the ball in. So his first time up, first pitch, I'm just going to knock him down." Freddie Lynn and I jumped up and go, "No, because Winfield goes down. He's throwing 97 miles an hour. One of us or more is going down. We're going, no. You throw the ball outside on the corner, whatever. No, Winfield, don't do that." Anyway, one hit us for 8 innings. They had us beat 7-0, and we didn't have a chance. finally, in the bottom of the ninth, we got a couple of hits, a couple of runs. He had thrown like 240 pitches. They took him out, put him in left field, bring in the relief pitchers. Now the roof falls in. We scored 8 runs in the bottom of the ninth, beat them 8-7.
Oh my goodness.
That's the old 8-7 game that a lot of people here in Minnesota remember about Gopher baseball, unfortunately.
Unfortunately. All right. Well, I'm glad that it's not raining. How about that?
Thank you, Belle. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I don't know why they can't beat the Yankees.
Well, I actually think it's actually it's a deep subject, because I think the easy thing to do is talk about the psychology of it. They started getting their brains beaten by the Yankees. They never recover. They're afraid of pinstripes. They're intimidated by Yankee Stadium. And all of that comes into play. But I also think, Roy, that there's a baseball reason for it. You look at the Twins. Twins usually don't have guys throwing 100 miles an hour as starting pitchers. Usually more control command guys. And in Yankee Stadium, Yankees aren't going to get rung up. You got a Yankee at 2-2, and you throw a perfect pitch on the outside corner. Umpire ain't ringing them up. So you have these veteran hitters with a small strike zone against control pitchers. Eventually, they're gonna win that matchup.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think that's part of it. I think the main part of it, honestly, I can't explain why the Twins are so much worse against the Yankees than other teams who are inferior to Yankee talent, but still manage to beat them enough where it doesn't look like this. But I still maintain, I don't care what anybody says. Every year when the Twins have played the Yankees have been a better baseball team.
Oh, no doubt.
They just have been a better baseball team. Mm-hmm. And they are the kind of players, year in, year out, when they get into postseason, they thrive. They just love it. And if you don't love your opportunity to be a star in the postseason, then the team that does love its opportunity to be stars are going to beat you. And LaVelle, I just think yes, they should have beaten them more often than they have, but they've never once played them, except maybe the year that Joe hit the ball down left field line that was fair that was fair by 3 feet and it was called foul, and it totally changed the game. Maybe that team was on par, but I just don't see it.
Twins have also had major injuries every year they face the Yankees.
Well, but that's part of being an inferior team.
Yeah,
I'm not denigrating the Twins. The Yankees have been really, really talented, right? And if the Twins get some injuries, and then it really shows up.
And if the Yankees get injuries, they got a former All-Star coming off the bench to replace the guy who's injured.
Right. Yes, sir.
My question, obviously, we're kind of leaning towards what's going on with pitching, and pitching wins the playoffs and the World Series, right? And last year we had a great pitch, best one I think we've ever had in the history of the Twins. We've had 2, sometimes 3 good pitchers, but never as good, I think, as last year. And won the playoff series, and so here we think we got a team that's got a chance. And, most teams go out and say, okay, let's go all in. Let's go all in and win a World Series, especially in a small market where you're not in it every year. You're in it maybe 2 or 3 years out of 10 years at best. So, and I've been watching you guys to see if there'd be some in the paper about, okay, we lost some revenue stream from the TV, and I get all that. But they bought a team for $80 million. It's now worth $1 billion. There seems to be a point in there where you could invest some equity of the team and have kept what we did have. Maybe Sonny Gray wanted to go no matter what. That may be. But we could have gone after somebody else. Why not spend a little extra in a year and kind of ignore the economics of it sometimes?
It's the eternal subject when it comes to the Twins.
Momentum.
And by the way, Sonny Gray wanted to pitch someplace where he could get home easily in the off day. I knew midsummer last year Sonny Gray was going to the Cardinals. Cardinals needed pitching. They had a lot of money to spend. That was a done deal. He was never coming back here. You can certainly make the argument they should have gone out and gotten a better 5th starter to start this season. They ended up with Souhan, who would probably a placeholder anyway. Then he gets hurt, and then you're rolling the kids up here. There are so many angles to this. Let's start with this. I'd prefer they spent more money. I'd prefer they were more active in free agency. But how many times can you say that? How many times can we go back to this subject? It seems like fans want to talk about that subject all the time. I don't have anything new to say about it.
This was a wrong year to decide to right-size the payroll. I think they overreacted to the TV deal situation with Bally's. They got a chunk of that back eventually, but they had opportunity to take a step forward with the roster. They chose not to do, and they're asking me in June, LaVelle, how come we don't have more people coming to games? I said, well, you did this to yourselves. You had the fan base energized. You won a playoff series for the first time in God knows when. People were fired up. The crowds were lively. They were the loudest playoff crowds during my time as a beat writer. All those Yankee beatdowns, they sat there on the seats just expecting something bad to happen. This group was involved. They were in it. They were chanting. They were cheering. They were complaining about the pitch clock not working. It was fantastic. They should have invested into that, and that would have got fans back. At least kept the fans coming. But now, they're not making as much as I thought they were going to make this year. I'm worried about how that's going to affect them this offseason.
Well, hopefully they've learned a little bit of a lesson about keeping Minnesota fans here engaged in their team. It's really too bad because it's a nice team to watch. Maybe it'd be a great team to watch had they done something. I will just say, so I think all of us feel like the answer to your question is we don't know if they should have. But I will say this. It's really not easy to make a trade, and there aren't just a plethora of pitchers that can jump right in and be a number 2 or number 3 starter that are in free agency. So it narrows the filter a little bit. You look at, okay, who's available and what's he going to cost, and you try to make some kind of cost-benefit analysis, to that. And then if it's okay, the free agent market isn't really that robust, then let's make a trade with somebody. Then you hear what the other team's asking, and it's like, yeah, but we can't give up Royce Lewis and Brooks Lee and somebody else for this
I get that.
third star. There is a lot of that. So it's when Jim says it's a complicated, multi-layered deal, it is a complicated, multi-layered deal.
And I will say this: I've asked the Twins people I know, hey, why didn't you spend more money? Why did you reduce the payroll this year after coming off a playoff year? And they said, I know that's the public perception. What they said is that they went over budget last year
To keep Correa.
Yep. And that it was never going to stay at that level. That was a level at which this ownership group is uncomfortable. Well, I'll also say this. When I covered Carl Pohlad as the owner of this team, I would take shots at Carl for not spending more because Carl was an independent billionaire. He did invest a small amount in a team that ended up being worth way more than we would have ever imagined. He did win 2 World Series that were great for his reputation. I always felt like Carl should have spent more. This is a weird group, though. This is Joe Pohlad running it for his father and his 2 uncles. I'm just not sure how they deal with the money. I mean, it's like if you're going to lose $30 million in a year, which of those guys is going to pony it up? I really don't. I just don't know how that part works.
Well, here's my thing: all the money they make through concerts, job fairs, wedding receptions, college football games—that's not part of revenue sharing. So they're making money through those other events.
Well, the easy answer is we all think they should spend more.
Yep.
I think this year in particular they should have spent more on one starting pitcher
because you
to
get it
bolster
back.
the rotation.
You'll get it back.
I'd love to see the P&L. I really would.
That's the other thing.
I just love to see it.
We just never know.
I don't know all the. I don't know all that the line items in that financial statement in that P&L. I don't know.
I'll also say this: whenever one of us does write about the Pohlads maybe spending more money, I swear to God, a week late, the next week we get emails. Why don't you guys ever write about them not spending enough money? It's
That's
like
true.
you cannot satisfy people who want the Pohlads heads on spikes by writing 1 column a month or 2. I mean, somebody's always going to be angry tomorrow. Believe me. All right, we're going to get to another question here. We do handle a little business. We're coming to you from the Aquarius Home Service Studios. We want to thank Aquarius Home Services
Scott for Aquarius Home Services. Making your life better is a huge priority for us at Aquarius. It may start with providing worry-free water or heating and cooling systems you can trust, but there's another very important reason. Aquarius is family-owned and operated. We work hard to earn the right to be recommended. That means upfront, no-surprise pricing, providing a 5-star experience, and treating your home and time with respect. And knowing we're just a click away at AquariusHomeservices.com.
Our friend John Krasinski, who does the basketball show, also does the Viking Update show with me on this network. He went to True Vision Institute. He loved it. Let's hear from John.
Yeah, I'm a brand new man, Jim, this week. If for listeners of the John Krasinski show over the last month or more, I've been telling you all about True Vision Institute in Bloomington. And we've been talking a lot about the help that they gave me in the consultation to figure out how to correct my vision once and for all, and all the process of going through it. Well, finally, last week, I was able to go in and have LASIK surgery at True Vision. And, I've talked to people who have had it before, and they all say how much it changes their lives. I'm like, all right, come on. Can it really be that good? And here I am, less than a week out from surgery. And I'm telling you, it is that good. For the first time since I've been in 4th grade, I don't have glasses or contacts to mess with. I don't have to worry about going in for, every year or two for vision checkups and for new glasses and putting hundreds of dollars into new glasses or new contacts. A contact gets ripped and I got to go replace that. The best thing about it is I wake up in the morning and I'm not fumbling around for my glasses so I can see, check my phone, look over at my wife and see her face. Like I'm seeing 100% clearly. And it happened almost immediately after the surgery. I went in for the surgery last week and I was a little nervous. You had a laser pointed at your eye. It's nerve wracking, but the people at True Vision were so welcoming and calming and comforting that it really took a lot of the anxiety away for me for the procedure itself. I was in and out in a little over an hour. The procedure itself actually only takes a couple of minutes. They do what they need to do to get your eyes fixed and they get you on your way. My mom gave me a ride home. I spent the night just kind of resting, sleeping. When I woke up the next morning, seeing 100% clearly. Could drive to my follow-up appointment, 20/20 vision. Everything was great. And I still am kind of walking around pinching myself right now that I can't believe I don't have glasses or contacts anymore. And Dr. Chu was absolutely phenomenal through the process. I was nervous. He has a very soothing, calming voice. He takes you through it very easily. He puts you at ease. He makes you feel comfortable when you're on the table getting the procedure done. And it just was really helpful for me in just kind of taking away a lot of the nervousness that I had about it. He was so easygoing and was so reassuring, and just talked me through everything. It only took a few minutes to get done. And then I was out the door and on my way. A week later, I feel great. I'm seeing perfectly. I wish I would have done it 10 years ago. Go to truevision.com and set up your consultation. Tell them the John Krasinski show sent you. But honestly, I cannot speak highly enough about my experience there and about the results. It's just life-changing stuff.
Thanks also to a Minnesota company that does great work, Minnesota Masonic Charities.
When people think of the Freemasons, they often think of secret handshakes and unusual hats, and of course, the pancake breakfast. Minnesota Masonic Charities would prefer that you think about the work that they do right here in our community. Places like the Masonic Cancer Center at the University of Minnesota or the Masonic Children's Hospital and the Masonic Home in Bloomington. They are just a few examples of the important work that the Freemasons support here in Minnesota. As part of the largest fraternal organization in the world, Masons have consistently answered the call when it comes to charitable needs. We look forward to learning so much more about their many programs here in the weeks to come.
And thank you to your boat club.
Got the winter blues? Start planning your summer. Plan on fun and get out in the water with your boat club. Your boat club offers boat club memberships and daily rentals with access to over 40 bodies of water and over 400 brand new boats to enjoy. Whether you want to cruise on a pontoon, create waves in a speedboat, or reel in a big one on a fishing boat, your boat club has got you covered. Unlimited boating memberships are available now, starting at just $199 a month after a one-time initiation. Life is better on the water. Find out more today at yourboatclub.com.
Yes, sir.
I was just curious of your assessment of how Rocco handles pitchers.
Was it your idea to have him ask questions?
Yes, that was my idea. I like seeing Royce sweat a little bit.
So we have a scenario in baseball now, both with hitters and with pitchers, depending on which manager you are at the time, about trying to get matchups and trying to plan for matchups against the opposition. And so what we're seeing is guys that have eighth and ninth inning stuff, sometimes in the seventh inning. You know, that started with Tito Francona in the World Series against the Cubs. And he had a right-handed closer, had been there for a long time. They picked up the left-hander from Baltimore, just nasty stuff. Anyway, they had two closers and on the team. And so there was a great eighth inning, ninth inning combination, right? And Tito went to the left-handed closer in the sixth inning one game in the World Series. And his reasoning was the game was on the line right there from what I could, in my opinion, because they had their best hitters up. They had guys on base. We had the lead. I had to stop this right now or we might never get to the eighth and ninth to use the closers, right? So that attitude has funneled down to where they do that on a daily basis. And in the old days, it was Bert Blyleven pitched a ton of innings and pitched into the eighth inning, ninth inning all the time, partly because he was really good and partly because the manager would go out there and the manager's decision is, okay, who's my best guy right now to pitch to this hitter? Is it the starter? Is he too tired? Should I take him out? Or is it a reliever? And in my day, in Bert Blyleven's day, the manager went out there and stayed with Bert because Bert had that curveball that the guy in the bullpen didn't have. You know, he had better stuff tired than who was out there, right? And so today, that same manager decision about who's got better stuff right now either young pitcher who's inexperienced or historically doesn't get through the lineup the third time very well, or he may be tired, or this guy got out here that throws 98 miles an hour. You know, the bullpens have changed now, where before when I played, started to be a closer, yes, but the guys between the starter and the closer were all in the bullpen because they didn't make it as a starter. They didn't come up as a bullpen arm. And now you've got bullpen arms. You've got guys that will come in and you can throw only two pitches, throw it 98 miles an hour, move on to the next guy. So the game has really changed in a lot of ways about matchups and about the arms that you have in the bullpen now that you didn't have before.
This is when you build out a research and development department. You have like 25 kids, and they got to justify their salary by coming up with things that after two times through the order, this guy's numbers drop off.
Of course, so
those
numbers are actually accurate.
They are. They're right.
Yeah.
They're right.
So LaVelle is a little less diplomatic than I am about that. But I think all the things that I disagree with Rocco with some of the things that he does. But day in, day out, I think he's done fine probably better than fine with the pitchers he has to work with.
Just one last one then. I understand where they say that third time through that the batting average goes up, but do the runs actually go up also, or just do they?
Runs go way up.
Okay, all right.
There are very few, and this gets into the culture of modern pitching. Maybe pitchers should be developed in a way where they have a better chance of getting through the lineup the third time, but very few of them can get through the lineup the third time right now. They usually get their brains beat in third time through. Yeah.
By the way, your pitchers were Cody Allen and Andrew Miller.
That's right.
Yeah, Andrew Miller, that's right.
Andrew Miller, that's right. He's got local ties, I think.
Here's the other interesting angle of that. Obviously, we ascribe a lot of this stuff to analytics, computer departments, all that stuff. Tom Kelly always believed you start getting close to 2 hours on the mound, pitcher was going to lose it. He thought that either physically, mentally, or emotionally, if a pitcher hit the 2 hour mark, he was about done.
That's interesting. I'd never heard that before, but I would not argue with that.
No, I wouldn't either.
And since most games during TK's era were lasting 3 hours, that meant most of the guys he was taking out in the 6th or 7th inning.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, sir.
I grew up with this last fella a little bit. I was a kid. Jim Cott was my favorite pitcher. And nothing, 120 pitches, no big deal. And Spawn and Sane and 2 Days of Rain, all of those things. It's a whole different world now. But whoever said they doesn't really appreciate the way Rocco handles pitchers, that's me. One day he might have a guy in the 5th inning retired 15 in a row, and he'll pull him out and bring somebody in and get whammoed. Next game, guy gets to the 5th inning, he's struggling, and he lets him in there for 5 runs. It just, no consistency.
It depends on sometimes the state of the bullpen as well.
Yeah.
They may need some people to go out and eat up some of the innings because their bullpen's been used up over the previous 2 or 3 games, and he can't afford to swing that door open yet.
I agree. Sometimes the 1 inning per pitcher drives me nuts. We go through 1 inning per pitcher for 6 straight innings, and now comes the 10th inning. We haven't any pitchers left.
Well, that is absolutely true. You make a lot of good points. One of the things that I disagree with is in your one scenario, if a pitcher's pitched 5 really good innings, then I send him out there for the 6th. I get somebody ready in the bullpen. But I send him out there for the 6th.
I agree.
I especially, well, in all cases. If it's Pablo, you send him out. You absolutely send him out there, right? If it's Ober, you absolutely send him out there. If it's Festa or Zebby Matthews, if they're going to all of a sudden play Royce Lewis a second down the stretch, then I don't think it's that big of a leap to say, let's see what this kid can do in the 6th inning, 3rd time through. Let's see if we can develop him, as well. And so, I think that's a really good point.
That's Jim Cott's philosophy. The pitchers now aren't trained to do any more than 2 or 3 innings.
Yeah, there's a lot. They
got to pitch more innings to get the arm build up to go longer.
But the other thing is that everything is much more max effort every pitch now than it was when Kitty was pitching. Right? I mean, those guys were smart. They'd throw fastballs, at a certain speed, knowing they had another 3 miles an hour back there. They threw a lot of stuff, and then when they really needed their best fastball, here it come, and they could pitch longer, in the game. Now all these kids go to these
Drive
schools,
line.
dry line, and all these schools that teach them how to throw harder, and every pitch they make is whatever their fastball is. That's what they're throwing, and that wears them down during the game.
I agree with all that. Another thing that bugs me, he'd bring Duran in the 8th inning. He lost several games by pitching the 8th inning. He's virtually invincible in the 9th.
Well, again, that's what I was said to the previous gentleman. It's a question of matchups. If Duran's my best guy, if he's my closer, if he's going to win the game for us, and they've got their 3, 4, 5 hitters coming up in the 8th, pretty tough to be as a manager say, well, I know this 8th inning guy I'll get Duran in the 9th, and you never. One of the main things that will keep managers awake at night is if they've got Duran or somebody of that caliber sitting out there in the bullpen, and they don't use them earlier, and they never get to them. And that will make them lose more sleep than just about anything else.
Another thing, the right lift thing bites everybody in the hinder so much. They'll bring a left-hander to hit against a right-hander, or a left-hander to bat against a left-hander, and that guy is batting 400 against left. That doesn't mean as much as the managers make it.
Yeah, again, it's an analytics-driven deal. I really disagree with that early in games. I understand in the same vein, I want to win the game right now in the 5th. This is our best chance. This is going to be a low-scoring game. It's very close. We're tied or whatever it is, or we're a run behind. I got to get these runs driven in right now. I can't let a left-hander make what I think is going to be a sure out against a left-handed pitcher. So I send my right-hander up there.
Yeah, this is.
But I don't like doing it, before the sixth inning. I don't like that.
Yeah, this is the way the game is managed, and some of it irritates me, especially like when Toronto was in town, and they started a left-hander, and Brian Schneider, the head coach of the manager of the Blue Jays, knew he was going to go like 2 or 3 innings, and so he pulls him after I think sometime in the third for a right-hander. And it was the other way around. He started a right-hander, brought in a left-hander after 3 innings. Rocco immediately starts pitch hitting. And I'm like, man, I get that. He wants to maximize every matchup. He wants to try to win every matchup, every spot in the at-bat. At the same time, one, you should have more of a set lineup and stick with it. 2, if you're removing lefties because you don't want them to hit a lefty, how in the hell are they going to learn how to hit a lefty? And so that bugs me at times, especially when Rocco does it in the 3rd and 4th inning of games.
Yeah, I think for me it's just when. The game is the game really on the line in the 3rd or 4th? I don't like it. But
and all this is why they have extra innings start with a runner on base in the 10th, because they're keeping managers from damaging themselves because they make so many pitcher moves up until that point. If a game is tied, the bullpen's already down to like 1 or 2 guys. Yeah. Then some poor guy will have to pitch 2 or 3 innings in relief, bails out the team. His reward is a ticket on the light rail back to St. Paul because they need a fresh arm.
Anything else you want to complain about, guys?
I don't like those clouds.
All right, one thing we do, especially in the off season on this show, because sometimes there's some slow weeks in the off season. We like talking about different things. We talk about music. We talk about bourbon. We talk about many other things. I'll put you guys on the spot. Any musical recommendations or any good musical experiences lately?
Go ahead.
I want to say September 13th at Treasure Island, the mothership will land. Parliament Funkadelic.
Oh, man.
It's on its final tour, and they're playing at TI, and I am planning on going.
That's awesome.
I cannot miss George Clinton and his band of merry music makers.
Merry funk artists. That would be pretty cool. So I heard a song the other day that is really pretty cool. I have mentioned this song done by different people. I'm actually going to put a list together at some point in time of all the people that have made great recordings of I Put a Spell on You, starting way back in the 50s with Screamin' Jay Hawkins, and then Nina Simone did it. And
Nina Simone, wow.
Yeah, just fantastic. And Annie Lennox did a great job of it. Even Creedence Clearwater did. Not that I'd put that on the list, but anyway, there's a lot of people. The most recent one I thought was a great blues guitarist named Tab Benoit.
Oh yeah, he's fantastic.
I just think he's phenomenal, and he did a great. I highly recommend you go out and put this on your however you listen to music. Is Tab Benoit doing I Put a Spell on You? But I just heard Joss Stone and Jeff Beck.
Jeff Beck
did I Put a Spell on You, and it's really cool. It's very much more typically Jeff Beck sounding than Tab Benoit sounding, but it's worth it. It's pretty cool.
Top 5 living guitarist, one of the top 5.
No question.
Yep.
Man, we covered a lot of ground today. Hey, thank you all for coming out. Thanks for the great questions.
It's been a great audience. Thank you.
Thank you to the great Belinda Jensen for being here. We do appreciate it. Brought some old friends of mine along with her. So for TalkNorth.com, for Alex Haugen, our producer, for Hannah Franzen, from our staff, Royce, Smalley, LaVelle E, Neal, what I need you all to do, I need you all to find a way to give Roy a big hand, but don't cheer for LaVelle because we don't want to encourage him. So please, a big hand for Roy.
I'll just sit back.
Take it easy for LaVelle. Thank you. No, appreciate it. And if anybody's interested in the podcast, find them at TalkNorth.com. We've got Russo, Kevin Gorg, Anthony LaPanta, John Krasinski, Mike Grimm on the Gophers. Randy Shaver's now doing a high school football show for us. We have Don Mitchell's show. John Millay on Preps. We had Patrick Royce on this week with that show. We've got outdoor content. We've grown this thing to a great degree since we started it. So check it out. If you get a chance to listen, please do. Once again, thank you all for being here. We appreciate it. Thanks to Minnesota Valley Country Club for having us.